Hello. Welcome everyone. Super excited to have you here with me today. In today's webinar, we're going to be presenting to you how to achieve lasting emotional freedom in as little as 12 minutes without spending months of therapy, and even if you struggle with triggers for years. So this is going to be a step-by-step game plan to release emotional triggers and cultivate inner peace so that you can experience the joy, connection, and fulfillment that you deserve. I'm Victoria Amador, and I will be your guide for today. So who is this for? I want to ensure that you know if you are in the right place. So this is for you and for anyone who's here and is tired of being trapped in a cycle of emotional triggers, feeling misunderstood, and watching your relationships suffer. If you ever wanted a step-by-step path to emotional mastery and the ability to navigate challenging interactions with grace without spending countless hours in therapy, then pay close attention, because this has the power to totally transform your emotional well-being and relationships. So what we're going to cover today is a 4-step game plan, very simple 4-step game plan to release emotional triggers in as little as 12 minutes, even if you've been stuck in these patterns for years. We're also going to cover the real reason why you're struggling with uncontrollable emotional reactions and why you can do starting today to regain emotional control, strengthen your relationship with yourself and others, and cultivate inner peace. We're also going to focus on why suppressing on or avoiding your triggers is probably the worst way to achieve emotional freedom. It's the worst thing that you can do. But I'm also going to give you a radical new approach that works 10 times better, and a way to finally become grounded, emotionally resilient person that has inner peace, groundedness, understanding, awareness, and inner stability. So my promise to you is that I'm going to give you a start to finish game plan for lasting emotional freedom so that you can experience the joy, the fulfillment, and depth of connections that you've been longing for. It is going to be a beautiful webinar, so definitely stay tuned to the end. You're not going to regret it. This is going to be priceless. A little bit about me before we continue. I'm Victoria Amador. I am the founder of Soul Healing Tribe and the creator of the Awakening the Healer Within and the Dream Regression Technique. Within the Dream Regression Technique, we have so many different protocols, different techniques within the technique, and one of those is a trigger release and shifting protocol that can take you and help you release the triggers and shift your energy so that you don't have to stay in those triggers in a matter of minutes. Over the past few years, I have worked with hundreds of people to help them release their emotional triggers and transform the way they see themselves and the way that they connect with other people, their relationships. And a lot of my clients, they struggle with triggers for decades, even some of them for a lifetime. And those people experience such profound breakthroughs and transformations that it is really mind-blowing what we are capable of doing when we allow ourselves to work through our past wounds and experiences in order for us to really awaken the healer within us. So it's going to be a beautiful webinar. Stay until the end so that you can get the most out of this program. I promise you it's going to be worth your time. Before I continue though, let me just do a quick check-in. I just want to see who here has any of these things, because that way you know if you are in the right place. So let me just quickly check in with you, the ones that are here in the live webinar. Do you I want you to ask yourself, have you ever found yourself exploding in anger at the smallest provocations only to deeply regret it later? Anyone here? I know I've done that before. Yeah, exactly. So do you shut down and withdraw when you feel hurt, even though you desperately want to connect and you definitely want to talk about it? And do you obsess over comments from your partners or colleagues, unable to let them go? So you go into this loop, no matter how hard you try. That's a big one, right? I see a lot of different hands going up. Yeah, that's definitely a huge one. The loop is like I call it the trigger prison. And do you feel like no one really understands you? Like no matter how much you try, nobody really understands you, and that you have to walk on eggshells, right? Like when nobody understands you, it's hard because you don't know what you can say. But I think the most important thing that we need to ask ourselves is, do you feel a sense of loneliness even when you are surrounded by people who love you? I think a lot of people that are easily emotionally triggered, empath, heyoka empaths, highly sensitive people, we tend to get triggered even more easily. So if you're one of those, you definitely are in the right place. And it is important for us to make that, to become aware if any of these things are triggering you, because otherwise, if you don't have any of these issues, or if you never had any of these issues, which I highly doubt, because we all have past experiences that can trigger us, right? But if you don't, then that means that this is not going to be of value to you. But if you are here and you have these issues, I want you to know that none of these things are really your fault. Like the real problem that we have is that our parents didn't know how to teach us how to do this. Our schools definitely didn't teach us this, and in college we didn't learn this. So the problem, the real problem, is that you don't have a system for releasing your emotional triggers at the root core. So I'm going to hand to you that system today, right here in this presentation before we end. But for right now, just understand this. I just want you to really be able to understand this. What you will gain by the end of today's webinar is an understanding of how to remain grounded and centered in triggering situation, how to let go of the past. You'll be able to respond rather than react, and you'll be able to communicate your needs calmly and effectively. You'll let go of past hurts and resentments that have burdened you for years. And you'll develop a profound sense of inner peace and emotional resilience. Like, there is no question about this. So you will finally experience that deep intimacy, understanding, and awareness, and that inner strength, that bond inside of you that you have always craved in the relationship that you have with yourself and with others. So you know what? At the end of the day, what we really are saying is that the system that I'm going to show you is going to allow you to release your triggers and experience lasting emotional freedom without months or years of therapy or coaching. And even if you've been stuck in these patterns as long as you can remember, with this system, everything, absolutely everything works. Without it, nothing really works, because it's so effective that there will be no excuse not to use it. That means that everything you've been feeling, all the shame, all the loneliness, all the fears that you're fundamentally flawed or broken, none of that is really your fault. You just didn't have a system, and now you will. But before I give you the system, I want to give you the reasons why, if you are having emotional triggers, you're probably making one of these mistakes. And I can almost guarantee you that you're making at least one, if not all three mistakes, to be honest. Before we go into the system of how this works, I just want to really make a stop here, because, you know, these three huge mistakes that you're probably making, they will make things way worse if you don't address these triggers at the root core. You can guarantee that if you don't understand this, that you will develop illnesses and disease due to keeping these triggers unresolved. There is no question about it. So there are three common mistakes: suppressing the triggers, the over analyzing, and thinking that you can do this with willpower. So I'm going to start with the first one. I really want to make a stop so that you can understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, because otherwise this is not going to make sense. And I notice with my clients that the education piece is crucial for their healing journey to be faster, which is why I'm doing this now. So the mistake number one is suppressing or avoiding your triggers. Only if you knew that this causes the trigger to continue to fester and intensify over time. Right, exactly. I see your heads going up and down. The suppression only causes the triggers to just get stronger and get more energy within you, because eventually the more that you suppress, put it to the side, and that you hide it from your consciousness, the more it crystallizes inside your body. And it creates crystals, emotional crystals, that can become disease and illnesses in your body, in your physical body. So these emotions can be the cause of many of the illnesses that we experience in our life. Not only from headaches, but stomach issues, irritable bowel syndromes, thyroid, arthritis, and anything else that you can think of. Even skin issues like psoriasis and acne, and so many other issues. Like whatever you can think of, before it became in the physical, it had to start at an emotional level, at an energetic level that becomes an emotional level and then becomes physical eventually. So when we suppress, we are avoiding, we're trying to hide it, and we're trying to, it's almost like needing a surgery but putting a little band-aid. So when we go into, let me just go back here for 1 second, because I want to make sure that this is clear. So the reason why this is dumb though is because when we suppress or avoid the triggers, it's going to lead you to emotional instability as well. Besides the physical sensations that you're going to have and the disease and illnesses, it's also going to strain your relationships, and it's going to create self-doubt within you that eventually is going to be very apparent. There is no way to avoid this if you don't address your triggers at the root core. It's going to become a problem in your confidence and self-worth, because the more that is suppressed, the more energy is getting. It's like a snowball. So this is something that you really don't want to do. And here's the truth though, there is a better way to achieve emotional freedom without constantly battling against or running from your own emotions. And I'll talk to you about that but in a minute, but just for this moment here, stay with me with the mistake so that it can make sense to you. The second mistake that they're making is analyze from their conscious mind, from the hippocampus, what is going on with their emotional triggers. This is the worst, another worst thing that you can do. Not the worst, but probably one of the worst too, because you stay stuck in your head. And this creates loops and loops, and you keep repeating it, and you feel disconnected eventually because it becomes so excessive that you may even start hearing intrusive thoughts because of these loops. Because a part of you is trying to call your attention to work through this. You're not trying to do it from the emotional level, you're trying to do it from the rational level, where the hippocampus is, and it's that part that analyzes everything. But that's not where the emotional triggers are. They're in the emotional body, they're not in the rational body. So you might be thinking, if you could just understand the reason behind the triggers from a rational point of view, you can control them. But doing this is just a recipe for disaster, and here's why. When you are overly analyzing, it keeps you stuck in your head, disconnected from your emotions. The more you analyze, the less connected to your emotional body you are. And you start overthinking, and overthinking leads to amplifying them, which keeps you trapped in the loop. That's why the loops are created. So can you see how continuously rehashing your triggers in your mind keeps you stuck in the very pattern that you're trying to break free from? Does that make sense? Like, you end up reinforcing your emotional reactions rather than releasing them. So do you see why that's so destructive though? When you're trying to achieve lasting emotional freedom and doing this from the rational mind, that's not going to work. It's not going to do anything, you know? Like the bottom line is that you need to instead get out of your head and into your body to really uproot your emotional triggers and find them where they are, where they currently have been for the whole time. And I'm going to walk you through that in just a second. Now, the third mistake that I see people do is relying on willpower to control their reactions. And this is a mistake, not because willpower is bad, but because the willpower to control the emotional triggers in situations that come up out of nowhere, sometimes you're taken off guard because the willpower is like a police officer, and when you're taken off guard, it's going to filter through and you're going to end up where you were before. So, you know, it's like attempting to strong arm yourself into a new response each and every time, which is very exhausting. So you almost have a guard. It's like having always a guard ready to go, and it takes so much emotional and mental energy to do that, to constantly override your impulses, which leaves you depleted energetically. Like you might be fatigued, tired constantly around people because your police officer is on guard and, you know, prone to falling back into old patterns. So there's always a fear there. So your energy gets really depleted, and it gets worse. Like the more you manage your reactions, it just doesn't do anything to release the core trigger. So you're working against yourself. The bottom line is this: like there is a root to that trigger. The root cause, we need to go to that root cause and we need to pull it out. It just takes too much emotional effort when we're trying to do this from willpower alone, and it can drain you to be around people because you have your guard up all the time. So what you need to do instead, again, is to go to the source of the triggers and dismantle them completely from the source. That's going to leave you free to respond authentically without having to spend constant effort keeping yourself in check, without having to muscle up your way through very difficult interactions. I know what this feels like because I've been there. Trust me. The only reason why I'm sitting here is because I've been there. So, you know, I want to give you the reason why you're here, the solution. All of these things that we experienced, that we saw before, the suppressing, avoiding, analyzing, and the willpower, all of those things are outdated. Just like traditional therapy, in order to work with the triggers, is very outdated. Traditional coaching is outdated too, because traditional coaching doesn't do what we're going to do here. We are combining a little bit of the hypnotherapy with the coaching so that you can snap out in minutes instead of taking weeks, months, years, or who knows how long, a lifetime sometimes. So the solution is very simple, and I'm going to walk you through it. You're going to love this. Like, I really do believe that you're going to love this. I call this the emotional liberation system. It's just a way for me to like put it in my head, because the trigger release and shifting method, that doesn't only just include the trigger release, but identity release and shifting and problem shifting. So we first need to become aware, and that is the Awareness Activator. We also need to do a little bit of the healing work in here, which is where the transpersonal hypnotherapy comes in place. And we also need to do a little bit of empowerment. So that is step number 3. And then we go into the Serenity Shield, and I'll explain why I call it that so that you can appreciate these steps. So I'm going to take a little bit of time in each step so that you can really understand why we're doing what we're doing and really understand how powerful this is. There is scientific research that shows that when we do this type of work, transpersonal healing, that the hippocampus and the neurons in the brain are healing themselves in the hippocampus so that they can communicate with different regions of the brain. This is proven scientifically. If you send me an email, I'll send you tons of references so that you can check this out for yourself. Grab all the books on neurobiology and neuroscience, and it will take you years to go through everything that I have learned, but you can have access to it if you want. If you want all of that, I can give it to you. So the solution, I'm going to start with the first one, the Awareness Activator. And this is going to give us the first step to profound emotional healing. Most people are stuck in cycles of emotional pain because they lack awareness of the true root of their suffering. The Awareness Activator shines. It's it's just shining like a focus, like really trying to become clear about what caused the root pain and suffering. That beacon of clarity, helping you to identify and understand the hidden beliefs and patterns that have kept you trapped due to the root cause of the problem. So this is the key that unlocks everything else. It's beautiful work. And when we really activate that awareness within us, we are going to avoid the pitfalls of the emotional work that sometimes we go into, right? Like the saying emotional trap. So we're not going to put any more band-aids. We're going to do deep work in a matter of minutes. So this is definitely not a temporary band-aid. This is uprooting limiting beliefs and healing the wounds at the core for lasting transformation. And when we do this is how this looks. You first start observing. This is the key right here, right now. Start observing your thoughts and emotions when you have specific conversations with people that tend to trigger you. And start observing your responses and your thoughts, your sensations in your body without any previous history about yourself. Be neutral and also be curious. Start observing yourself by being curious and neutral, and ask yourself, what is this really about? What is this really about? Where did this belief pattern originate from? And then ask yourself, what is it that I'm feeling within me? And allow the insights to surface from your wiser inner self, knowing that you have deep answers. This is so much better than avoiding or suppressing painful emotions, because it allows you to understand the true causes of your suffering and access the wisdom they hold without being ruled by them, right? So this is profound. When you start doing this, you're going to get a level of awareness that you didn't have access to before. When you do this right, the old wounds that have waited on you for years will start to lose their charge. Self-defeating patterns that have kept you stuck will loosen their grip on you, and you'll be able to see clearly through them. A sense of lightness, freedom, and possibility will start to open up and flourish within you, and you'll develop a profound sense of self-understanding and compassion. This is the key for true and lasting emotional freedom. Becoming aware is step one, and it is the key to unlocking everything else, but it's not the only step. It is just the beginning step. And what I mean is the Healing Vortex allow us to actively process and integrate what you have just uncovered. So the Healing Vortex is so powerful. It's a powerful process that allows you to transmute the energy of the old wounds and allows you to alchemize the pain into wisdom So the suffering becomes strength. It is not about relieving the trauma. It's about releasing it and reclaiming the energy that you lost in those past difficult experiences. And the healing vortex really avoids the pitfall of getting stuck in the old stories of victimhood. That is one thing that I noticed with a lot of people, that they get so stuck in the victim role that they can never get over. So when I started using a lot of these things with my clients, they were transmuting and changing who they were in a matter of weeks and months instead of years and years. Some of my clients have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars doing healing work, and then they're so angry sometimes because they say, why did it take me so long to find you? Well, it took them this long because they needed to go through everything else, right? There is always a purpose. But when we have these powerful tools and we use them wisely, we can really transform the way that we are with ourselves and others. All of these experiences, everything that you experience, all the past experiences, the past wounds, the traumas, you learn through this process that when you start embracing and transmuting and realizing that all of those experiences you can turn into fuel for growth and awakening. This way you can find deep peace and freedom within you without getting lost in the heaviness, without being defined by the past wounds, and without getting stuck in all of those past experiences. Does that make sense? Like, we don't have to stay stuck. We can free ourselves. We can break free. So the healing vortex is really just beautiful work. And like I mentioned, there is tons of scientific research that shows that when we do this type of work, transpersonal healing work, there is a rewiring of the brain happening. We are teaching parts of ourselves how to be in alignment with the wiser inner and higher being of who we are. And we are choosing to let go of the old limiting beliefs and patterns to transmute and transform to the new version of who we want to be. So this is a beautiful opportunity to heal without having to spend years and years and years of therapy. It is a beautiful, powerful work that you can do by yourself or with, like if you choose to do this in more intensive programs with me or other people, you can use these protocols. If you come to me or anyone that has done trainings with me, they'll be able to guide you through this very, very deeply. Or you could do this at home by yourself. Now the final step, the third step, not the final one, the third step is the empowerment elevator. And I call it empowerment elevator because, once you have become aware and you start transmuting, you start reclaiming parts of your soul and yourself that you have lost in those past experiences. And there is a lot of inner healing being done. Inner child, teenager parts being healed, adult parts being healed. There is a lot of self-acceptance. It's just truly awakening the healer within you. And it allows you to become truly authentic with who you are. So instead of the old stories, you can become aware, transmute, and bring the energy forward of that warrior within you to become empowered and have the strength to continue to move forward and change yourself to be in alignment with your higher self, your inner higher self. So you are basically rewriting your story. You are in charge of your story at this point. And it really, over time, this is going to create an unshakable foundation of self-love and worthiness in your life. Do you see how that works? If you just give me thumbs up so that I can see you, that way I know that I'm making sense in this process. Yeah, does that make sense, right? And finally, we have the Serenity Shield, and I call it the Serenity Shield because, listen, when we are reclaiming parts of ourselves, we are bringing back light within us. We are light beings, we are energetic beings. So every time that we do this work, we're going to pick up little pieces that belong to us, and we're going to feel wholer, and our auric field is going to be stronger. That's why I call it the Serenity Shield, because the auric field, when it's stronger, we're not going to have astral larvae hanging around us or disembodied energies trying to mess with us. We're not going to allow the inner critic to take over, or people or parents to be, always on our ears, because we're going to heal things that are going to allow us to become stronger. And the auric field naturally is going to get stronger and wider. So the Serenity Shield is about also having specific daily practices to protect your peace and do sort of like a daily inventory. Where did I get triggered today? What happened? At what point? You're becoming more self-aware, and you're doing the trigger release in order for you to experience that transformation within you. Start observing our thoughts, and we start paying attention to our emotions, sensations, and being curious and healing, transmuting, and bringing in that inner warrior, and then having our auric feel stronger, and we feel whole. We have groundedness and stability and emotional maturity that comes with all of this, right? So a lot is being done, even though you're doing something that may seem very small and simple. There is no way that you will be the same person if you do this every day for the next 8 weeks or the next 12 weeks. When everything is said and done, you are going to wake up each day with this sense of peace and wholeness. You'll be able to easily handle life challenges from a place of grounded clarity. Your relationships with yourself will transform because of the deep self-awareness and love that you've been cultivating. And you will have a sense, you will feel a sense of meaning, purpose, and joy that you never thought possible. And you will become the beacon of hope and healing for everyone around you, because they will see your transformation. They will see it. There is no way around this. So when you start feeling that energy of groundedness coming in, your shield is getting stronger, and you are then encouraging others to also go through the healing process. If you do this, you are going to be completely different. Everything is going to shift for you. Absolutely everything. But how can I help? How can I help you? Because I know sometimes people are like, okay, how am I going to do this every day by myself? How can I help you do this? I put together the 12 minutes trigger release and shifting video program so that you can learn and see other sessions in actions. And also, this is mind-blowing, also have access to the weekly live coaching sessions. People pay $1,000 for this to have access to the weekly coaching sessions and the life changes. But you know what? I decided to include the weekly live coaching sessions, access to those weekly calls at the same price of the course for a limited time though. So the video program that is now on demand as a standalone separate from the Dream Regression Technique program is the 12 minutes trigger release and shifting method. That method includes the trigger release and shifting protocol, the advanced shifting protocol, identity release shifting protocol, and also the problem release and shifting protocol. So you're getting so much that is going to blow you away what you can do when you put this in action. So for those of you that are serious about doing this, you didn't have a system before, you didn't have a way to do this before, but now you do. So it's going to be up to you. You have a choice. You can keep going on struggling under the weight of your past, dealing with the self-doubt, the emotional roller coaster, and everything else that goes along with that. Or if you want, you can reclaim your power, rewrite your story, and find unshakable peace and finally break free from the chains of your past. Yes, break free. Then, if you're ready to do that, this is what I have for you. This is the link. And the link is soulhealingtribe.com/DRT-trigger-shifting. So go to this website. You're going to have access to the online on-demand course that teaches you step by step how to do this for yourself and for others. So if you are a healer or coach, you can do this with your paying clients. You can do this for your family. You can do this for your children. You can do this for your husband, your mother, the neighbor, whoever. Like, this is a gift. Like, this is truly a gift. I hope you really take advantage of this, because when we start doing this healing work, you're going to experience deep transformation. But when you do it for other people, you cannot doubt how powerful this is, because you see it. They're going to experience it and you're going to feel it. Beautiful work. Now, of course, this video program is not for everyone, because if you think you're going to, the triggers are there because other people need to change, then this is not for you. If you're doing this, but you don't really want to do this and you don't think that this is going to work, then this is probably not for you. This works. I know it works. I've done it with my clients, hundreds of clients. They are video programs, video sessions of some of my clients giving their testimonial. It works. But you have to be committed to doing the video program and applying it. At least one trigger. When you get really triggered, use it. And when you get to use it and you feel what you're feeling inside of you, and you're so grateful because you're like, wow, I cannot believe this is happening. I'm going to feel that gratefulness, even though we might not even ever connect in person, because when you're grateful for this, I'm going to be like, wow, I cannot believe I feel that. I feel it, because energy works that way. So if you're ready to change, this is the best and most affordable, effective tools that I can give you. So soulhealingtribe.com/DRT-trigger-shifting, and you are going to get access to the most powerful 3 protocols in one video program at the lowest price that you can get ever. And this is going to be for the next 20 people. And the next 20 people are going to have access to the weekly life coaching sessions, where you can use this protocol as questions, or even get sessions with me. This is priceless. All right, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope we get the opportunity to connect, reach out if you have questions. You'll also be able to be part of the online community and connect with me and share energy and become part of the tribe. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all on the next one. Thank you.